notification yet.
Yes, it's going to get there now. Okay, so
Okay.
just 1 minute. Okay, so it should have gone there now. Good morning,
Okay,
ladies
yes, yes.
and gentlemen. My name is Deji. I'm here again, broadcasting on the Reformed Nigeria television. This morning we have, I actually use the word the indefatigable Paul Dada with us as guest. He's speaking with me, I believe, from Lagos, and we're going to be touching on a lot of things. We want to look at religion, politics, and many other matters that will concern this interview. First, I want to thank you, Mr. Paul Dada, for honoring our invitation. Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate it.
You are very much welcome.
Yes. For those of you who follow him on Facebook, you know that he's a very fiery young man, but also a very likable person. Himself and myself, I've had spats in the past, but I seem to get that notion that he's somebody like myself. You know, my dad told me once, he said that I am a better person in person than on social media. So he usually tries to introduce people to me in person and not on social media. So I believe that Mr. Dada is also like that. Those of us who fight a lot of battles on social media, sometimes we forget that our friends are supposed to be our friends, so we fight them also. So thank you very much, Mr. Dada, for taking the invitation. In fact, I must confess to you that of all the people I've invited to Reform Nigeria television, you were the easiest person to get on the program, the easiest. Wow. You know, I mean, there was nothing like anything. The only thing, of course, is that you said this was the time that you were free, 10 a.m. on Saturday, and we had to schedule it at this time. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it, sir.
Thanks for having me, sir.
Okay, so first of all, what we usually do is we want to know who is the person we have online. Who is Paul Dada? Basically, what we know about you is the very post that you make on religion on your Facebook. But we'd like to know who you are. Probably, I mean, background things, where you were born, how you schooled, and so on and so forth. The next question will be how you became a Christian. But let's know a little thing about your background.
Okay. So, well, Paul Dada is a Christian. It's a journalist. Is a husband, a father. Well, I had all my education in Lagos, except where both primary, secondary, tertiary. But I did my NYSC in Kaduna, of course, up north. Well, I've also been to several parts of the country. Well, because maybe I've been to several parts of the country. Officially, maybe official duties, or sometimes personal for personal reasons. So I get that something. Yeah, Paul Dada also sings. I'm a musician.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm a musician. Yes, I sing. I have albums and singles, gospel albums and singles. So I guess that's the summary of who I am.
All right. Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank God for that. Okay, so now we'll go to the next question. We'd like to know, how did you become a Christian? Because, you know, you write a lot on Christian themes and you're very concerned about religion in Nigeria. So how did you become a Christian in the first place?
Okay. Well, I was born into a religious family, just like most Nigerians. You are either born into a Christian in quotes, yes, or Islamic family, and most of us were born that way. So I was raised as a Catholic, and when I went through the normal rites, I attended the catechism classes. I had my baptism, which was actually, it's actually the sprinkling of water.
Yes.
Very pretty. When I was young, I did what they call confirmation. Okay. In the Catholic Church, there are 7 sacraments, and you can only have 6 in your lifetime, because you can either one of them is you have alternatives. Either you go into matrimony or you go to holy order. Holy order is the priesthood. Okay, so The other one is extreme unction, which they give you at the point of death. So,
yes.
So out of 7, I was not ready to die. I was not ready to die at the time. So I had 4. So
wow.
I had the baptism, the penance, the confirmation, the what's it called, and the Holy Eucharist. Yeah. So, but somehow I was falling out of. I began to question things. I began to lose interest in Catholicism, and in my hometown, then my father had a duplex, and then there were these 2 youth corps members that we accommodated. I can still remember their names, Mr. Patrick and Miss Stella, we call them.
Wow.
Miss Stella was attending a Pentecostal church, Pentecostal church, Foursquare precisely. And so one day, the pastor and his wife came to visit Miss Stella, who wasn't around at the time. And can I go ahead, please? Can I continue, please?
Please, I'm so sorry. You are speaking to the audience, so please focus on them.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, I saw you get.
Yes, I had to close the door. My children start making noise, and I don't want to.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So the pastor came to visit Miss Stella. The pastor and his wife came to visit Miss Stella. She wasn't around, so they came upstairs to talk to us. My dad was not. My dad was a very staunch Catholic. He wasn't even here that any non-Catholic was around. So so very staunch one, and so he kind of preached. I can't remember much of what he said, but I know that somehow is whatever he said then made me to further lose interest. But I didn't get saved then, of course. I know that I sneaked out to attend the Foursquare Church once or twice because my father mustn't know then. So later I came back to Lagos Metropolis to continue my education. And then an older sister of mine invited me to a church, Deeper Life, church known for holiness, holiness Pentecost.
What year were you invited?
That was to Deeper Life? September 24th, 1989. I was in secondary school then.
Wow, that's interesting.
No, before September 24th, yeah. Maybe somewhat around August or July. So I started attending. Well, all I could remember the day I got saved was that the pastor preached on remission of sins. All I can remember is remission of sins. I can't remember the details. But I know that day I committed my heart to the Lord and the Lord saved me.
Amen.
So I knew that something different actually happened that day. The Lord saved me. And I just got my taste changed. The things I used to love doing, the sinful things I used to love doing, I stopped doing them. I don't think he was itemizing every sin in the book,
Yes.
But I just knew that certain things were wrong. I just know certain things I could no longer continue doing them. For example, let me just give an example. I remember that I used to collect. I remember once or twice I collected money from my classmates to teach them. During exam or during the test. You understand?
Yes.
Because I was considered a very brilliant student. So I know I couldn't do that anymore anyway. I couldn't do that anymore. I couldn't fight anymore, and some other things like that. That it's been a journey of, I think, 30 years or so, or a little bit above 30 years. September 24th, 1989. Yeah.
That's interesting. One of the things that excites me a lot is to hear about how people became Christians, especially people of my generation became Christian by listening to messages in churches, especially churches like Deeper Life and so on and so forth. But incidentally, a lot has happened. We're still going to touch on it because I know you have your story on Deeper Life. But my question now is, what is this? What is your story? What was your sojourn through the Deeper Life Church? How was it like? And then possibly, how did you leave, if it's possible for you to say that story? Yes.
How I left, right?
No. How was it that, because you joined 1989, right? September 24. Then how was your trip through the Deeper Life Church, and what led to your leaving?
Okay. All right. I must confess then that the Deeper Life leaders, teachers, they may not be perfect in knowledge. Anyway, nobody is. Okay. Yes. There was, when I look back now that I am more mature, of course, I can see errors in some of the teachings. But one thing I cannot take away from them is that they were very, very sincere. I mean, the people that discipled us then were sincere. You could see the sincerity, you could hear the sincerity in their voices. You could see the sincerity on their faces. So they brought us up in the way of the Lord. You know, they told us that being Christian meant that you wouldn't be living a life of sin. Okay, so we avoided sin like plague. Because I gave my life to Christ very young, so I didn't get involved in the vices that you would see teenagers like me, you know, get involved. You know, I wouldn't even I wouldn't even think of having a girlfriend, you know. I wouldn't think of, even though I have people that were doing all of that around me. There are certain kinds of music I stopped. I love music very, very much. There are certain kinds of music I stopped listening to. And then we were attending what they call the Student Home Success Fellowship. You know, in as much as they taught us academic principles, you know, but they also told us something. Said, be a 6 o'clock student. You know, if you look at the clock, 6 is balanced. You know.
Yes.
So they say, okay, that the long hand stands for God, the short hand stands for other things you have to do. That give God priority in your life. So I knew what I had was very genuine because I saw myself evangelizing. I was so bold. I didn't spare anyone. I could preach to a teacher. I was going to the market to preach. On my own. If I was in a public transport, I would stand up and preach. So everybody was already calling me pastor in the school. So I continued like that until we had a school fellowship, and the school fellowship most then was run by public schools. Then we had a lot of we have fellowships. These fellowships were actually run by the non-denominational arm of Deeper Life. There's Deeper Life Bible Church and there's Deeper Christian Life Ministry. Deeper Christian Life Ministry is a non-sectarian ministry run by the church to reach out to campuses, secondary schools. So you had under DCLM, you have what they call Deeper Life Students Outreach. Okay, yes. You had Deeper Life Campus Fellowship for the universities. So and other tertiary institutions. Then we have what we call Deeper Life Corpus Fellowship. So I went through all of that. Look, I was an officer in the school fellowship. I became a worker in the Deeper Life Schools Outreach myself after secondary school. And I was a Deeper Life Campus Fellowship, Deeper Life Corpus Fellowship. You know, I was a minister. I became a teacher. Then I had what we call Pastoral Ministry because it got to a point where I was preaching on Sundays. You know, even though I was singing the music, yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Even though I was also a choir master, okay, I led different choirs within the ministry, within the church. You know, sometimes, you know, if I had to relocate, I become a choir master wherever I went. You know, I led the youth choir, I led the adults choir, I led the campus choir, I led the corpus choir. You know, all of that. So that was what it was. And then I think God helped me. I was very, very much influential. I was one of the people you could call very influential, especially influencing the young ones, the youths. The men that became practically part of my family, they would call me Daddy Paul, you know, fondly and all of that. And even when I was getting married, I got married almost 15 years ago. And I was telling my wife, look, I love young people. And she too, we work together in the what they call youth ministry and all of that. Well, but how I left? Okay, now there was I was introduced into reading of books by a mentor I love so much, a very brilliant mentor then, very brilliant. When I say brilliant, I mean in things of the Lord, even in academics. This was someone who had first class. No, sorry. He came out with second class offer, but in the Deeper
this
Life,
person is a member of the Deeper Life Church.
Yes, he was a member of Deeper Life. Then he's no longer one. He's no longer one, but he was a member of Deeper Life then. So he introduced me into reading of books. Actually, I loved reading books. I had loved reading books before then. You know, my father was a very strict educationist before he died. So he bought books for me, and naturally, I loved reading. Even after he died in 1990, I would go to his old books, history books, you know, books on geography, books. As of then, I think I had traveled to Rome. I had reading. I didn't travel to China, travel to all of. So I already loved reading. Only that particular gentleman, Brother Femi, we'll call him then, now introduced me to Christian books, you know, books like E.M. Bound series, you know, Gordon Lindsay, Why the River Tarries, Leonard Ramvehill, you know. I started reading about John Wesley, you know, all of it. He would naturally lend us books, you know, lend me books and all of, you know. Yes, he had a library of books, and you will go to him and get the books from him and read. So I love reading books, but then because Deeper Life has a way of making you think that is where all the doctrines taught there are right, and that they make you feel that Deeper Life makes you feel like, oh, what are you looking for elsewhere? This is like the gate of heaven. This is where you have the soundest preachers, you know. So even if you read anything that could tell you that something was not right, you may not notice it, because you would interpret, analyze everything, looking at it with Deeper Life lens. Even if you read the Bible, you were reading the Bible with a mindset. You understand? With a mindset that, okay, you may be looking at verses in the scriptures to already justify your preconceived notion, and not allowing those verses to actually define or redefine your views. I hope you get what I'm trying to say.
I'm following you.
Okay. So that was what was happening. But somehow, somewhat, I began to have dissatisfaction. I began to ask questions that I wasn't getting answers to. For example, we used to have slogans like, I do not mean to undermine him, but you know, the general superintendent, Pastor Kumuyi, may come up with a slogan like, okay, this year, no loss, no lack, no limitation. I remember that slogan gave me lots of problems. No loss, no lack, no limitation. Only God is unlimited now. No lack. Are people not still lacking? You know, that kind of question may be passing through my mind. Are people not? You said no loss. And maybe one people still die. You know, I kept asking, but I wasn't getting satisfactory answers. Okay. Sometimes in leadership meetings, I may raise a question. It may be something that people will consider minor. It may not even be a serious doctrinal issue, but it may be a practice which I considered not godly, or or a practice that contradicted the principle of love. For example, I know I had a district pastor then who used to announce the names of women mirror debtors on their pulpit. Women Mirror, it's a magazine that people like. Women Mirror is, those who are owing, you know, they'll ask people to buy Women Mirror magazine and then to distribute freely to others, you know.
Sorry, Mr. Dada. Let me just interrupt you. I did my NYSC in Yola, and when I was in the NYSC camp, as a young man, I was just like 4 years in the Lord then. I knew that the only place where I could be saved from lost, you understand, was in the Deeper Life Fellowship. So I served with them. I served with the Deeper Life Yola people, the Deeper Life Yola headquarters for like 3 months before I went on to do some other things. But I lived with the Deeper Life people throughout, and I went to the church. So when you are saying all these things, I know Deeper Life because I spent 1 year amongst them. And I'm always so thankful because Pastor, I hope he gets to see this, Pastor James Apopori of Deeper Life Yola then, he gave me accommodation. That's the fact I left serving them. he allowed me to continue staying at the proper lodge. And so, I mean, there might be some excesses, but I'm very thankful. I'm always very thankful for that 1 year, because at least for one thing, I didn't fall into sin. There were people around who were always looking out for me and things like that. So I'm always so thankful for them. So I get it when you are talking about.
You are exactly right, because I can tell you, I can testify, because I was in Deeper Life for almost 30 years. Okay, so I can testify that there were fine Christians there, fine Christians who were actually who were serious about their Christian life. You understand? But then,
so we are now talking about this pastor who normally announces the debtors or the woman mirror.
Yes, I was the only worker who challenged him and said, "This is wrong. If people are going, if people are going, go to them personally and say, you are going. You don't embarrass people by announcing their names on from the pulpit. You know, it simple things like that. Some things as simple as maybe in leadership meeting, and I remember when leadership meeting, and someone, I think our leader, the person was coordinating our unit, you know, said that, okay, as leaders over the young people, we are supposed to be watchdog. And I said, no, the Bible never says we should be watchdog. The Bible says we should be watchmen. You know, I will raise issues like that. I could hear a preaching that I was not satisfied with, or a factual error, and then I could go to the preacher and say, look, this is wrong. You know, I started having this issue, and I think I started having problems also with people because of that. This man is so controversial and all of that. But as I kept reading, started asking myself questions. And I discovered that, wow, the idea of church, I mean, if you look at New Testament, this is not the model. This is not the real true model of church in the New Testament. I agree that they were doing their best, the best way they knew. You understand? Yes. But I was yearning for something deeper and something better, you know. And then I was praying, you know, I kept praying. Sometimes, to be very honest, sometimes I may be in church, I will say, there was times I don't belong here. You know, I just thought, I don't belong here. So as time went on, I met brethren who took time who were having fellowship in the afternoon, in the evening.
Did you marry in Deeper Life Church?
Yes, I did.
Oh, excellent. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I did. That was September 9, 2006. Okay. So
hello, brother.
Yes, sorry. Something happened that
a call caused I guess.
Not even a call. I was using a Wi-Fi plugged to electricity, and there was power outage.
Oh,
so
like our problem.
I'm not using my mobile. I'm not using my mobile data.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So yes, I like I said, I got married on September 9, 2006.
Yes. So you were talking about now that you began to fellowship with some brothers or something like that.
Yes, I met some brethren who were meeting on Sunday evenings. So some of those people will attend their churches in the morning and still come for the fellowship. And then there were some of them who were not even going to any church anymore. So that was like their church, you know. So I was with them, even though I was still in Deeper Life. Then as time went on, we just had a push, you know, because I also became one of the leaders and teachers there quickly, you know. And we continued. Yeah, so we continued, and then we just had a push to start Sunday morning meetings, which automatically meant that I had to live Deeper Life at the time. Prior to that, before that time, even while I was in Deeper Life, I knew that, well, I felt that God wanted me also to reach out to people on a non-denominational platform.
Yeah.
Now, what do I mean by that? You know, if you look at my Facebook posts some 7-8 years back, you might see where I was publicizing retreats, Deeper Life retreats, wildlife programs. But while I was in Deeper Life, I stopped doing that even on Facebook because I felt I needed to reach out to the body of Christ. You know, even though privately I could still invite people to Deeper Life meetings. So I started organizing one event called Let's Discuss the Scriptures. Now, Let's Discuss the Scriptures was because it's still on. It's a non-denominational forum for a no-holds-barred discussion of the Scriptures. So people would come from different parts of Lagos and even outside Lagos, like Abeokuta. If I people from Abeokuta and Ibadan, you know, I was doing all of that even before I left Deeper Life. And I was also getting invitations to minister in other places. So I was already thinking that, because I was very much involved in Deeper Life, when I was looking at the trajectory of my life, I was first of all thinking that I should drop my duties in Deeper Life so that I will not that there will not be a clash, you know.
Yes.
There will not be a clash. But it became clear to me that it was just right for me to leave completely and then study the Scriptures with these brethren who were like-minded and who were ready to learn. They were ready to learn and they were ready to be taught. You understand? In fact, I will tell you that it was from one of them I first came to understand that scripturally sanctification is not just a second work of grace, as I previously believed and taught myself, you know, that it's a continuous work of grace. That it's a continuous work of grace. You know, I started to, they gave me that, one of them gave me that idea, and I went to study myself, because one thing I like to do is study myself. You know, now living Deeper Life helped me to study the Scriptures without any sectarian, without any mindset. Okay, so you know, I don't have to be looking behind my shoulder, because I can tell you that even when I was there, I could see something I disagreed with, maybe from the outline they gave us to teach. And I wouldn't be able to teach properly. You know, I would probably skip it. You know, probably skip that part. You know, I was this thing is not in sync with the Scriptures, you know. And then I would probably skip it. And even my own preaching on Sunday, when I had to preach on Sunday or on Thursday, what they call revival and evangelism training service, many times my approach was different from the mainstream Deeper Life way of teaching, you know. Although sometimes people they overlook me, they'll just overlook and say, that's the way Paul is. That's the way Paul is. That's the way Paul. There are some things I could do that if other people venture doing it, I run into trouble. Yeah. Wow. So that's pretty it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, we are discussing with Paul Dada. He's a journalist in Lagos, and he's also a Facebook enthusiast or a Facebook mover. He's joining us today to talk about religion. He's going to also we'll still touch on politics and many other issues. So far, he's told us a little about his background, and now he's telling us how he became a Christian, how he joined the Deeper Life Church, and what led him out of it. Okay, so Mr. Paul, follow up on that question. I would like to know, are you still with this gathering of people? Is it now a church or is it now an organized church in a sense?
Okay, my understanding of church is a forum of believers. A forum of believers, because I'm sure you know, probably more than I do, that the word church, the word translated church, comes from ecclesia. And I have come to learn that it is better translated assembly. Okay, assembly. Okay, I don't want to go into the history behind because there are a lot of theories on what church, the etymology of church and all of that. I don't want to go into all of. I don't want to go into all of that now. But the thing is, yes, I'm still with them. We are still together, and but it's non-denominational. We just call it fellowship. We just call it fellowship. And we try as much as possible. What we try to do is this: we are learning together. We grew together. You know, we looked at the early church. We saw that you had 12 apostles administering the church in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you add elders. I mean, the apostles, wherever they went, and Paul, for example, with those who work with him, you know, wherever they went, they will establish elders. They will, after establishing the churches, they will ordain elders in every city. So we discovered that, there was nothing like GO or GS or something in one pastor lording it over other people. It's like you always have what they call council of elders, you know, the presbytery. So that's what we try to do. We try to, yes, we have leaders, I'm one of them, and then the leaders, the teachers, we don't have one person saying, look, I am the GO of this place, or I am the overall leader. So this is very good for us because it makes room for checks and balances.
Definitely.
So that one person doesn't become a lord over other people, and someone who is not responsible, accountable to other people.
Yes.
So
does this gathering have a name?
Deliberately, we chose not to give it a name.
Okay, but do you have somewhere you meet?
Yes.
Is it like you meet in a home or you have a rented place?
No, we meet in a home. We meet in a home.
Okay.
We meet in a home.
All right. You are free to tell us about it, probably to even invite people, because you see, this platform is trying as much as possible to reach out to the world, to tell them about the Lord Jesus Christ, and also to share how I call it gospel content with people, and then with the hope that people can join churches and live out their Christian life. So you are free to do that, maybe as our interview proceeds. Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
yes, we actually meet. Okay.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, we actually meet in someone's home, and I have people reaching out to me sometimes, say, please, I want to come to your place of meeting and all of that. And then we have people coming to join us. You know, we have people coming to join us. You know.
Okay.
And sometimes
So
we have people.
We
have people from outside the country saying, look, can you do online streaming and all of that? There's someone now that joins us from Abia State. Yeah, there's a sergeant from Abia State. Yes. Yeah, there's another brother. He's one of us, but he's an undergraduate. He's in Bielsa, so he also joins us sometimes. You know.
Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. If you are interested in what our brother does, Brother Paul Dada, and you're watching this video, I've tagged him to this video, so you can get in touch with him inbox. He'll be able to give you an address, because you see, since it's somebody's home, it's difficult to be able to publicize such a thing.
Exactly.
Exactly. So you can reach him privately, and he will tell you more about the place, and hopefully we'll get the right people, the right sheep, not people who just come and cause trouble. Now, I want to change this interview a little bit. In fact, one of the reasons why I thought I needed to have you on was because I saw you on a internet TV where you were discussing bandits. And I think you were a little bit critical of Sheikh Gumi and all of that. And I didn't even know you were a journalist. I asked and you said you were. So please, can you tell us?
For almost 20 years, I have been a journalist.
Okay, so did you train as a journalist? You went to school as a journalist?
Yes, I studied mass communication. I studied communications. Yeah, I studied communications.
Excellent.
And I have been a journalist, practicing journalist for close to 20 years. Okay, so much of what I've done in my professional life, is journalism. Yeah, I've taught, I've done teaching as well. Before I became an active journalist, I was teaching. Later, I was combining journalism and teaching. But much of my adult life, professional life, has been spent working with national newspapers, online publications, and I was a radio presenter, and all of that.
Can you tell us some of the some of the organizations you worked with, at least in your career,
Okay.
and then the ones you are working with presently, if you feel free to share that.
Yeah, no problem. I'm free. Yes, I think I first worked with a defunct, now defunct newspaper called The Globe. Okay. Very briefly. But later I went to the very fiery PM News then. PM News, those who were in Lagos, you remember the same company published the news magazine. If you remember the news magazine.
Yes.
Yes, it's still on, but not as fiery as it used to be. The news magazine and PM News. So I was working. I wrote primarily for PM News, but I also wrote for the magazine. I was a reporter with PM News. Later on, I joined the leadership newspapers. Leadership newspaper is an Abuja-based national newspaper, but I was working in the Lagos office as correspondent. I covered judiciary beat. That's how I got so much familiar with law and legal issues. You know, I covered the judiciary beat. So I resigned. I resigned from PM News because I wanted to. I was very good at writing features, long stories, and I wanted to. I wanted a platform where I could. That was a little bit more intellectual, and leadership provided that. So I was there in leadership. Then after I left leadership, I went to an educational institution very briefly, where I was their media, kind of media assistant to the director. Then I joined Business Hallmark. The name had been changed to Hallmark then. You know, it used to be a business paper. It was changed to Hallmark. Later, it was changed back to Business Hallmark. Then I was there. I was managing the judiciary bit. Then I was also elevated to the board, the editorial board. Editorial board is usually the intellectual think tank of a newspaper. You know, you have in-house editors, and you also have external people. Sometimes you may have people from the lecturers from the university. You know, being part of the editorial board. You know, I was part of the editorial board. Then I think I was the youngest member of the editorial board. You know, so yeah. Then we were writing the editorials. Then after that, I left for. So I left Hallmark, and there was this newspaper that was established in the tradition of the old PM News, because PM News was an evening newspaper.
Yes.
But as of this, the paper, I was now appointed the news editor, news and production editor. He tried for a while, but one thing that stopped it from thriving was because we had reached the age of internet. People don't need evening newspapers anymore.
Yeah.
You know, when we were in PM News was breaking news very fast. The national newspapers wouldn't publish until the next day. But PM News would give you the news that very day. Okay, so to now begin to float a newspaper in that mode, at that time, it was of course doomed to fail. It was destined to fail. You couldn't. I mean, in the era of online publications, you couldn't you couldn't do that, and we can't still do that. So I later joined them. Sorry about that noise.
No, please go ahead. Yeah, feel free.
That's my son making.
One of the things that I enjoy most about this kind of live programs is to see even people walking around and doing their thing. Always, it shows that we're not artificial, we're real people. Yes. So go ahead, sir, please.
So then I later joined. There was this newspaper, online newspaper that was established then. That's entrepreneurship-based newspaper. You know, to report entrepreneurship basically and business. So I was appointed the editor.
Okay.
But currently I am the editor of an online newspaper called African News 24, AN24, which also has a TV station. The online TV station where you watch me. So I present that program, The Verdict, which is my opinion on things going on in society, on issues. Yes. So I'm also currently one of the analysts for the popular journalist hangout on TVC. So
okay.
Yes, I'm one of the guest analysts. I usually appear there. I used to analyze for IATV on Star Times, an Ibadan-based television station. I used to go to the Lagos office, but not currently. So that's just it.
Wow, that's interesting. I watched the online television, and I also saw an interview granted. The analysis you made on TVC. That's very interesting. Incidentally, there was this interview that I granted TVC on tithing. That the interview went crazy, and most of my most of my friends who are outside the country that are on Facebook, most of them connected with me through that interview. When I was in Germany in March last year, and cold wanted to kill me. It was somebody who got to know me through that interview that actually gave me accommodation. So I'm also very grateful to TVC for that. Incidentally, we are nearing the hour mark, and I didn't want this interview to be more than 1 hour. And my next question is going to open a can of worms. And Mr. Paul Dada, in fact, I must confess again that you're not just the first person to quickly grant us go ahead for the interview, but you have been very engaging. You are what I would call a journalist delight. You have helped us. I've not asked so many questions, but you have given us robust responses. The next question is going to be reserved for another interview, but I just want to put the icing on the cake, and then hopefully maybe you will be better prepared in the next thing. But I want to say, we both of us have had spats and on this issue of Calvinism. So I want to, before I even get to that, let me even ask you this question. It appears that you didn't have so much disagreement with Deeper Life doctrinally. Most of your disagreement might have bordered on practices. A little doctrines, yes, but I think most of them was the way people did things. Am I right or wrong, sir?
No, I have some major doctrinal disagreements with Deeper Life.
Okay, can you discuss maybe one or two? Then I'm going to request that we reserve my discussion on Calvinism for another interview. Is that okay, sir?
Okay.
Yes. So what are these disagreements with Deeper Life?
If you want us to continue, there's no problem.
Yes, I would. People have very short attention spans.
I agree.
And then I also have an engagement in the next few minutes. So I have to go.
Okay. I understand. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, the issue of tithing. Yes, I came to understand. The first time I heard about tithing, when I was a Deeper Life member, I said, come on. I rejected How are you laughing?
How are you? Okay, go ahead, sir.
So I rejected, why would you say tithe is not in the scriptures and all of that? But I disagree with Deeper Life on tithing. I disagree with Deeper Life on their idea of sanctification. Deeper Life follows the Wesleyan doctrine of sanctification. Deeper Life has absorbed the word of faith, somewhat absorbed the word of faith theology. Yeah. I disagree with the word of, in fact, one of the most terrible afflictions to have befallen the Christendom today is the word of faith theology.
Definitely.
I hate it with a passion, and I stand like all this positive confession and blah 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 is anti-scriptural. Yes, I was very much preaching to it myself, but God opened my eyes. I disagree with it. So, yeah, I think those are the three I can remember now.
All right. Okay. Thank you so very much. We're going to touch on this thing. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Paul Dada. He's a journalist in Lagos, and he's talking to us about religion. He's talking to us about, we've not touched so much on politics, but he's told us about his the background as a journalist and a few other things. I really, sir, I want to thank you so much for joining us. And I want to plead with you, sir, please, even if it is going to be next weekend, the same time or some other time or during the week, just get in touch with me. I want us to touch on this issue of Calvinism, and then maybe we'll juxtapose Calvinism with Word of Faith, because you and I agree on Word of Faith. I mean, you agree on our opposition to Word of Faith, but we disagree probably on Calvinism. So I want us to do that in the next interview, if you don't mind, sir.
No problem, sir.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem.
I really, really appreciate it.
When you are ready, just let me know. When you are ready, just let me know when you are ready.
I will. If you are just joining us, we've been talking to Paul Dada. The minute I go off now, I want to encourage you to just start the video again and watch it. This interview has been, in fact, I must confess, it's been the most explosive, most gripping that I've had on this dial. I really want to thank you so much, sir, for coming. And please extend our gratitude and love to your wife and your children. And thank you also for joining us, those of you who are in the audience who have been watching. God bless you. Mr. Dada, please just give me 1 minute as I end the broadcast here.